Hello tarot lovers and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Elizabeth and on this channel we talk about building your spiritual confidence so you can listen to your intuition and read your tarot cards with ease. And today we are going to be taking a deep dive into card number 11. In numerology, number 11 is the master number, and there's lots to talk about with this card, which is the Justice card, or number 11 of the major arcana of the Rider-Waite-Smith. We're going to be looking at the numerology, of course, the Hebrew symbolism, and all the symbolism all over this card that represents the deeper meaning of the Justice card. So if you're interested in taking a deep dive into the tarot, this is the video for you, because I'm going to bring all of that symbolism together. So often you can read about it on the web and you'll hear, you'll read about the actual symbolism in the card, then you might read somewhere else about the numerology and somewhere else about the Hebrew letters and the Kabbalah. But what I'm going to do is bring it together so you can get an understanding about how all of this symbolism works together to give you a deeper understanding of the card. The idea being not that you've got to learn it all, heavens no, but to get that deeper understanding so that when you are coming up with your own personal understanding of the card, you're doing it from a really good basis where you are really looking at the actual meaning of the card and how that relates to you in your life. So what I think we should do is spin the camera around and let's have a look at this card. Today we are going to be looking at the Justice card, and the deck I am using, of course, is the Giant Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot deck. I will make sure that there is a link to my Amazon shop so you can see this deck if you would like to purchase one. Fantastic for teaching and also really good if you're like me and you just want to see that deeper detail in the cards. I also recommend this deck if you are learning, which is the basic Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot deck, and you can see mine's getting a little bit tatty. It's been used and used and used, and I probably need a new one. Just the one in the yellow box. I will have a link to that one as well across in my Amazon shop, where you can, if you wish to purchase from me, anything you purchase, of course, I get a small commission, and that does help support my channel. The other thing I want to talk about, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notifications bell, because that really does help my channel and it helps to support the work that I do. These are my symbolism cheat sheets, and these are also in my Etsy shop. And of course, this is what I've designed to help you to understand more about the tarot. And these videos that I'm doing are to help you to follow through and understand what it is that that I'm talking about when I'm trying to give you that full understanding of the card. So I made these ones first, which are my symbolism cheat sheets, which are great fun to use if you just want something very basic to give you an understanding of the card. Then I've got this is a worksheet, and there's a pack in my Etsy shop, and everything in my Etsy shop, I try to price it in a way that makes it really affordable, and I'll make sure that there's a link in the description box for you to go over and have a look at these. But this is a worksheet you can do, which helps you to get that deeper understanding of the card. And then, of course, there is this cheat sheet, which I'll be essentially working from today, which gives you that deeper understanding. Now, I put these together. There's this side, which has essentially got your Golden Dawn symbolism, and then there's the other side, which has the colors and the other symbolism in the card. The reason that I put this together was because I knew as soon as I started this video series, you'd all say, can we please have your notes, Elizabeth? Please, 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 please. So I put them together for you so that you could have something that would give you something to follow through with in your studying of the cards. Do you need to learn all this off by heart? No. Please do not. You don't need to. The idea is that when you're doing your reading, you get a deeper and deeper understanding of the symbolism, which helps you understand the deeper meaning of the card, which then helps you apply it to yourself. That's what I'm ultimately trying to help you to do, is to have that deeper understanding so that when you come up with your own meaning, it is true to the intent of the tarot. Where I get all these symbolism from is the Golden Dawn. So the Golden Dawn was the first organization that made sense of the tarot, and we have to have a measuring stick somewhere because the tarot evolved. There's sort of no real right or wrong answer. So we use the Golden Dawn as our way of understanding at some point what it all means. So let's get started. So we are looking at card number 11, which is Justice. So Justice is the daughter of the Lord of Truth, the holder of the balances. So this is a card about balance. I'll just check we're in shot. Yes, we are. This is a card about balances in life. It's about the ultimate end point where there is a tipping of the balances. So if things are out of balance, then the Justice card makes the decision to bring them back into balance, whether it is punishment for doing the wrong thing, whether it is a ruling over to make things right. That's what this card is about. And so if you look at the card, you see the scales, the traditional symbol of balance, and the sword being held aloft, which is about being in your integrity and speaking your truth. So if we look at this card, the numerology for this card is interesting because we are now coming into double digits, and we are looking at our first master number, which is number 11. And the master number 11 is about vision, and it is essentially, it doesn't reduce. Now, just to make things really confusing, if you are doing somebody's birth chart in numerology, it does reduce. But if you are looking at the number in general, it doesn't reduce. So when we look at numerology in detail, I'll explain that at a deeper level. But just for you to understand that we can talk about the number 11 as number 11, but sometimes we talk about it as number 2. All right. So the master number 11 has huge spiritual power. It's this idea of balance. It's two ones, and ones, of course, are about spiritual power and new beginnings. If we look at the Magician, and of course I have a video that goes into the Magician in great detail and the symbolism on that card. If you have a look in my description box and in the first comment, I'll try to remember to put it down in the first comment too, but in the description box there will be a link to the playlist, and you'll be able to find the symbolism video on the Magician, which will go into as much detail as what I'm talking about with the Justice card. The other card, of course, we're looking at is the High Priestess, which is card number 2, or double 1 in numerology. So again, not numerology, Roman numerals. So if we're looking at the number 11 in terms of being 2, if you did have to reduce it, you're looking at this idea of balance, spiritual balance and intuition, which is what the High Priestess is about. So this card brings both together: power, but balance of power and using your intuition and speaking your truth. So the Hebrew letter for the Justice card is Lamed, and I do apologize if I have pronounced that incorrectly. As I said, we are not learning all this off by heart. What we're doing is we're looking at it so that we have an understanding of it. We're looking at it in terms of the deeper meaning, to understand the deeper meaning of the card so that we can come up with our own meaning. I'm not about you learning all these meanings in terms of being able to parrot them off, because you'll never read if you do that. What you need to do is take these meanings and digest them and think about how they relate to your own life. When has justice been important for you? And that is where, if somebody comes to you for a reading, or you're doing a reading for yourself, you can access the knowledge that and meaning that you need to have if that card comes up for you. So the Hebrew letter Lamed is the Hebrew letter for the Justice card, and it has a correspondence of ox goad, and an ox goad, as you can see here by the Hebrew letter, and we know that the Hebrew letter looks like the correspondence that it is a whip. So whips, of course, are about taming and shaping. And so if you think of an ox as being stubborn, we're taming and shaping. So this is about flexible learning and higher knowledge. It's about how you learn with your whole self, with every part of yourself, not just the physical, but the emotional and the spiritual. So if we're looking at the Hebrew letter Lamed, this is about how we put our sense of fairness and balance out into the world in the Justice card, and how that is reflected in ourselves and how we are in the world in terms of being spiritually in balance between the physical, the emotional, and the spiritual, and how that all comes together. So here we're looking at, on the Tree of Life, which comes from the Kabbalah, we're looking at the pathway from Jabura, or strength, to Tippereth, which is beauty, and of course the ox sits on the pathway. So we're looking at strength and beauty in the knowledge that we have, and that we build and grow within ourselves. Classical element of air and zodiac of Libra. So we're looking at air, which is speaking your truth. It's about communication. It's about thoughts. It's about what you put out there into the world. And Libra, which is about harmony and balance, the scales. Librans are often very creative. So there's this idea of being able to work with the unexpected and originality, and bring it back into balance. So let's have a look at the actual symbolism in this card. So the curtain behind is the curtain of justice, and it sits behind the judge, and it shields the passion, it shields the inspiration and the initiative that can sometimes go into overdrive with the yellow sky. And it's interesting that it gives that clear separation between that unbridled enthusiasm and the calmness and clarity that's needed in justice. If we look at the High Priestess card, you have the same sort of thing. The veil which separates from the unconscious and the conscious. The scales and the sword, we're looking at the scales represent weighing up your options, fairness, balance, and the sword about especially any sword that's held aloft. And I'm thinking of Queen of Swords. I'll just find her. I didn't even think of her. I try to find these cards for you to remind you of what they are so that you don't draw a blank when I'm speaking. But the Queen, particularly for people who are learning, the Queen of Swords, where she holds her sword aloft because she's speaking her truth with balance. So this idea of speaking clearly, being decisive, and creating balance. The crown has 3 battlements which symbolize the power of 3, or Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, or we can think about body, soul, and spirit. So balance and including all parts of life. So spirit, which is within us and everywhere, our soul, and our physical body, or our grounding. The 4-sided jewel here represents masculine and feminine and the spiritual and material world. So it is the 4-sided jewel, what am I looking at? So the crown, which has 3 battlements, represents the threesome, or the power of 3, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, 3 as 1. Or if we think about it in a more secular interpretation, we're looking at spirit, body, and soul. So your body, which is your grounding, your soul, which is the intuition, the creativity, and the spirituality that's inside you, and spirit, which is all around you, both inside and outside, that is universal. This idea of bringing everything together in a way that creates balance. And of course, the 4-sided jewel that is on the crown represents the foursome of masculine and feminine, the spiritual and the material world. And of course it is blue, which is symbolic of emotion. If we look at the symbolism, we've got white symbolism, which is the small brooch, which is on this person's chest, who's representing justice. And this symbolizes deeper thought. Again, you've got the red here of passion, the third eye, higher wisdom, intuition, and it's placed in the center of the chest, which is about bringing your heart into your decision making. You've got the green here, these green tassels coming down, and this is representing growth, nature, innocence, and compassion. The grey columns, grey in the tarot generally represents confusion, but it can also represent this neutrality, this idea of having a strong neutrality in everything you do. Of course, red is about passion and action, and the red cape is about managing your emotion when you're making decisions. And of course, the yellow sky about initiative, passion, and search for meaning, vitality, brightness. And of course, we always think of the story of Icarus and stepping too close to the sun. So having that, again, as I said, the curtain behind to give that balance. And I'm not so sure that the curtain isn't purple. Again, these cards are trying to be a faithful representation, if I can speak, a faithful representation of the very first cards that were created for the Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot. And Pamela Coleman-Smith used to paint backdrops, and she created these most stunning cards. I wish we still had the originals. I haven't seen any of her original paintings. But when they came to put them into mass print, of course, back then in 1909, they didn't have the capacity to print the way they do now. So they sort of had to cross-hatch to make colours and things like that. So some of that has been lost. So I do hope you have enjoyed looking at the Justice card number 11. Please make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notifications bell. Better still, subscribe to my community. Come into my community, because you get all sorts of goodies as being part of my community, including my free resource library that has lots of goodies all the time going up into that area that you can download and look at. Our next card, of course, is the Hanged Man. Card number 12, So this is another card with a lot of symbolism. So I can't wait to talk to you about that card. And I will see you in the next video. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.